So, hello guys, and welcome back. So, it's been a while since we had some recordings. I got pretty busy with schoolwork, so I had this awful time again to do some deck discussions with you guys. And today we're going to check on the Pauper format. Since we have not yet to see more card previews on the drift, so we're going to bypass standard for a while, though the format has been interestingly become popular. And even though we go back again here with some of the Eternal Pauper, which also probably still very popular in our places here, such as in also in Metro Manila. So we have here some new, probably not new, but maybe some updates of this deck, which has done some of the good finishes in recent MTG online tournaments in the Pauper format. So they call this deck as the Golgari Dredge. This is piloted by Marzo Boy. Let's check his list here. We have 31 creatures, 3 instants, 14 lands. We have basically a lot of land search here, as you can see. 12 sorceries in the main deck and 15 card sideboard. And going to do a rundown. What the Dredge does is to do self-mill, milling creatures, or using cards such as land search, such as swap cycling, like this one, Troll of Casa Doom. So it is 4 copies in the deck. It goes to pay 1, discard this card, charge library for a swamp card, and then put it in your hand, then shuffle. So in a way, you can do this turn 1, searching a swamp to make sure that at least you have a second land drop, and then use cards such as Exhume to get it back early, back into the battlefield as a turn 2 threat per se. So this drawback would not really be a problem here because you can just imagine at earliest turn 1, your opponents would not really have creature cards in their graveyard. Unless, of course, they have some other shenanigans that can put those cards from their library or from their hand into the graveyard. So anyway, the lineup here, to where you guys to be get familiar with, are composed of several cycling creatures. So again, Troll Composidon is 4 copies in the deck. This is partner with Generous Ant, which is also 4 copies in the deck. This is for the fire cycling setup, which is also a very good creature threat in the long run. We have some self-mill cards here. This particularly is a Satyr Finder. That's 4 copies in the deck. It will mill you 4 cards and then get you to put a land card from among them to your hand, and the rest are in your graveyard. So for other benefits that you can have with this are your copies of Rebelbet Maverick. So when enters the battlefield, you will reveal 2. So this is basically mill 2. And you can play this from your graveyard, that pay green, exile it, and put up some counter on target creature on sorcery speed. But the important thing here is that you can curve early on with these self-mill cards to make sure that you can have as early as turn 2 Exhume to do it for having to get a huge attacker or huge threat on the board as early as that turn. For the other cards here that does its possibility are your copies of Circle of Blunder Druid. So these cards would entail you may mill 4 cards, and then it has the ability that with dice, return target land card from your graveyard to your hand. But the important thing is that this is the purpose of having to mill 4 cards into your graveyard. So other ways also are copies of Extinguished Imp. This is a way also to dredge 5, which can also generate 5 into your graveyard. And notice that why this is 31 creatures is because of this card that has become a Pauper now in the powerful metagame conversion. So Lonely Giant here, that's 4 copies. It deals damage and the battlefield to target opponent for each creature card in your graveyard. So the more creature cards milled as it enters the battlefield, it will be a good threat per se, and also can deal huge chunks of damage to your opponent's life total. So other ways also to have utilities are your copies of the Scrapwood Mutt, which enters the battlefield, you may discard a card and draw a card, and has a purpose to unearth 2. But of course, splashing here some of your red colors to make sure that you can pay for this unearth ability. At the same time, you can have open access to red mana in your sideboard. Now, for a way for you to sustain in your late game is copies of No Filler Bone, wherein you get 2 life for each creature card in your graveyard, and then you can flashback it for 3, the same mana. At the same time, we have also some ways to do some recursion, wherein you have 3 copies of playset copy of Dread Return. So you can flashback it to sacrifice 3 creatures, and other ways also to produce some creatures are your copies of Malevolent Rumble, wherein you will rebuild 4 cards in your library and then put a permanent card from among them to your hand, and then you'll create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn token that can be used to sacrifice for hard mana ramp. Just use it to pay for the Dread Return flashback cost. So as you can see here, 14 lands is basically enough for you to do a basic deck for this deck to function. At the same time, having this one of Swamp dual lands helps for making sure that you can have this good splash for these colors. And of course, added also are Conduit Pylons with 2 copies. This can also get you to Surveil 1 and do some mana fix at the same time. Now, quick rundown on the sideboard. You can see here we have specific sideboard for specific matchups. First off, Ancient Grudge, which is 4 copies in the deck for the affinity and other artifact shenanigans. We have Evolution Witness, which kind of adapting kind of effect, putting some counters and then returning permanent card from the graveyard to your hand. This Fang Dragon would go with the function of the Fork-tail Sweep, wherein it will deal 1 damage to each creature you don't control, probably for token matchup and for goblins kind of aggro matchups. Additional copy of Note to the Bone to ensure that your life total are replenished and sustained for the late game. 3 copies of Ray of Revelation. Make sure for enchantment shenanigans, maybe for the Auros deck, can be basically a good way for you to deal with enchantment. And self-mill would also help because flashback cost would only have you to pay 1 green for this one, which is of course your colors of black and green can be accommodated. And lastly, copies of Seal of Doom. This is another enchantment that can destroy non-black creature, which of course is pretty much needed for immediate spot removal matchups and for dealing with your opponent's threats. At the same time, you can have this weight that Malevolent Rumble can be used to get this since enchantment. This is a permanent card per se, as well as Evolution Witness, which can also return permanent cards from the graveyard to your hand for an additional use setting. And last but not least, to check on some stats for the deck, cost is pretty much produced with 50% for black. Green is 48%. For production, it's pretty much even. Of course, it has more green, but you would not notice it here because, of course, a lot of mana fix are being able for you to make sure that 2 colors would be pretty much accommodated. Average mana cost is 3.37. We don't really need to matter here because, of course, we have a lot of high mana cost creatures which can be used, of course, to be exhumed early on to become a word threat. And some of the lineup for the tokens, let's check here. You only have 2 tokens here, food token and the Eldrazi spawn token from your sorcery card. So per se, if you have been able to playtest or having this one as one of your main decks in the Pauper format, just let me know in the comments below. We can have some of the updates discussions as to how this deck would perform and would still continue to have some good finishes in the Pauper metagame. Let's have a good discussion of this in the comments, and let us also answer some of your possible questions about this deck, and maybe even for the Pauper format per se. So I guess that's pretty much it for this one. We have again Golgari Dredge by Marsaboy for the Pauper deck tech, which kinda get us away again for an update of this deck for the continuously of the Pauper format in various tournaments posted in MTG online, and also for physical tournaments. So again, guys, thank you for checking this deck tech video or deck update video. For more of the sport, just like and subscribe and notification bell so we can have instant updates or notified beforehand, as long as we can have more of this. And we have an upcoming Ether Drift standard deck tech, as we could try to create more decks from the new set and try to improve the current top tier decks in the format of standard. And guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you on the next video.